Hi, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us in this rather short lesson on science communication and why it's important, how we do it, and where we do it. My name's Kevin Folta. I'm a department chair and professor at the University of Florida.
I'm Chris Barbey, a PhD candidate at the University of Florida. I'm in Kevin Folta's laboratory.
Yeah, he's in the lab with me. It's fun. But what I'd like to talk about today, or what we'd like to talk about today, is the idea of science communication and how we as scientists can do it better. It comes from my experiences over the last, I don't know, 20 years. And certainly Chris, he's gone out and done a lot of this too. And what have we learned from interfacing with the public? And more importantly, how do we take this as our responsibility as scientists in the public eye to not just do the science, but to share the science and do it effectively with the public?
The first thing to understand is that the consumer, with regards to biotechnology, is really reacting to a lot of information. Much of it may be dubious. The consumer hears things about pesticides and antibiotics, hormones, GMOs, and generally they respond in three broad categories. The first category is the consumer that is earnestly seeking the right information so that they can make a better decision. A small but very vocal minority of consumers generally have very negative views about all of these issues and typically are not very persuadable. But you hear from these people all the time. You may get a sense that everybody is like this, but really, most consumers uh, don't know what to believe. Not everybody can be an expert in crop genetics or chemical toxicology, and so they don't know what to believe, and so they err on the side of precaution.
And one really important note is that this isn't just about biotechnology or use in agriculture. This is about any contentious topic. Whether you're talking about climate change, vaccines, the way to engage the public and have a very meaningful conversation is to first understand that most people just don't know. And they're following information from the internet that may not be accurate, and they're not sure who they should trust. That's where scientists can step in. That's where we can take control of this conversation if we do it the right way. And this is really the big part about how the consumer is responding to information. The consumers are looking, they're reading labels, they're looking on the internet for more information because they hear so much distortion and they're not sure who to trust. And a lot of us might think that these questions are kind of silly. Maybe these questions are things that we should discount as scientists. I've heard it 1,000 times. If they don't know, then too bad. It's not our problem. But I think of this exactly the opposite way. Consumers are asking questions about their food, about farming, about medicine. And this is actually a very, very good thing. So one of the other things that happens is that when consumers don't know who to trust, they tend to make some mistakes. Some of the things that happen, and we'll zip through this rather quickly, is that they err to the side of precaution. They make decisions that they feel are safer because of the misinformation they've been fed. They are prone to bad choices. They accept messaging that sometimes works against their core values, which is really interesting how that would happen because they're subscribing to an idea that's not necessarily accurate. They make mistakes. They enact bad policy. And this happens at the federal or state level and leads to policies that really impede oftentimes the values that they find most important. And they adopt consequences that mostly impact the poorest among us. And that's something that really bothers me, that when people make decisions, they're thinking about themselves typically as affluent folks in the industrialized world. But how their bad policy decisions and how their misinformation dissemination affects the poorest among us is something that is a consequence of people not knowing who to trust. And this is what we can fix.
So we're going to discuss a couple of broad points to help improve the situation of public understanding of biotechnology. Number one, how do we communicate with people so that they can understand that scientists are people that they can trust? Part of this is learning to build rapport with the person that you're talking to, understanding what evidence to use, where to meet your audience, the importance of content amplification and networks, and dealing with your critics.
So we'll talk about this by framing 3 books. And these 3 books were really important in helping me be a better science communicator, and they have nothing to do with science. The first is Thinking Fast and Slow by Dan Kahneman. The second, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, a New York City hostage negotiator who told us that we can't compromise when we have to get the situation right. And then finally, Hug Your Haters by Jay Baer, a revolutionary text that really taught me a better way to engage with the public, especially in social media space.
And a major effect of lack of public understanding of biotechnology issues is that this is stalling the application of many important innovations. You probably don't have to look very far, maybe not even outside the door of your own laboratory, to see innovations that are made on a monthly or yearly basis that are just not able to to bridge that chasm to the point of application. And a way that you can do this, that we can do this as a body of scientists, is through effective communication with the public.
And this is really true. You think of all the millions of dollars that are spent, and taxpayer dollars that are spent to innovate and come up with new innovations that we target to help farmers or solve a problem, do something for the environment. Yet they're stalled because of the fact that we're not in communication space as scientists. And this is really a heartbreaker. We don't have a scientific problem here. I mean, we can make great science. The problem is getting it to where it's applied. Where is it needed? Where is it used? And that's something that we need to work on. And the way to do that, as Chris said, we just need to be better at talking about what we do, especially with the right people.